Welcome to this third and the final session of the 10th Adhyaya of Sri Bhagavad Gita. We start with the gratitude towards the Lord, through whose grace everything is possible. We pray and give our respects and tributes to the Guru Shishya Parampara, through which this knowledge is preserved and transmitted for generations. I pay my respects to my Guruji, Puja Guruma, with whose grace I am able to learn the scriptures and share this understanding with you. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Arvavahai Tejasvinavati Tamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So 10th Adhyaya, as you know, is the Vibhuti Yoga, where Ishvara is showing his Ishvaratva, showing how he presents in this world in very different forms, variety of manifestations which are called as his glories or his Vibhutis. And when Ishvara himself says that I am in this form, I am here, there, everywhere, obviously he is Sarva Vyapaka, he is not limited to time, space or objects, and he is showing this Swarupa, his Virata Swarupa, here starting with the Vibhutis from different areas, how we can see him. And this is his grace that he is able to show us this so that we can connect to him wherever we interact in this world. This Vibhuti Yoga also means a way to connect to the divine. So Vibhuti is a way how we can connect. It is a part of the Bhakti, and we are already in this Bhakti, Shataka. These 6 Adhyayas, starting from the 7th to the 12th Adhyayas, are devoted to Bhakti, the Bhakti Pradhan, and this is one way how we can do Upasana of the Lord, and we can see or think about the Lord, we can contemplate or always invoke the Lord, starting from somewhere in some of the Vibhutis that he shows in this world, and then finally the goal ultimately is to see him everywhere. And this helps us by annihilating our own pride, our own ego, because this is one of the major obstacles for us on our spiritual path, which does not allow us to become one, become united with the Lord, with the God, with Bhagwan. So this is what we have to finally leave. Of course, this path is of Nivrutti. We have to leave many things, but finally our ego, which sometimes works in a very subtle way. We don't even realize how it works. We call it our self-esteem, that I am protecting my self-esteem, but it takes a very subtle form, and we always have that strongly, that kind of protects our identity from merging with the divine Lord and being one with him. So Lord does this beautiful thing of annihilating our pride by not reducing our self-esteem, but by showing his splendor, showing his greatness, showing his glorious manifestations in this world in variety of forms, and thus making us humble in the process. Similar to when we stand in front of the ocean, and when we see the ocean and its vastness, we feel very minuscule in front of these, and that helps us to reduce our ego or annihilate our ego. And that's how Lord does in this Vibhuti Yoga. So in Vibhuti Yoga, the understanding is that all that we see in different forms, in different energy, all are Swarupa of the Lord. All this energy comes from the Lord. But this vision is difficult for us, for most of the sadhakas, to have this kind of Shuddhi. One needs Bhakti in life. We need to start somewhere. And the best place to start our devotion, our Bhakti, is the Saguna Sakar Swarupa of the Lord, which is the name or a form where there is the Murti, where we pray to this Murti Swarupa or a Vyakta Swarupa, and we can think of the Lord doing his Leelas, his different types of his Leelas, his plays that he does, and we can think of the Lord in several different avtaras. from here then we have to see the Lord, the bhakti has to, expand, that we see Lord everywhere, sarvatra. But this is difficult, and for this, vibhuti is the best way, because it acts as one of the, the next station, how we can see the different manifestations of the Lord in different areas, and then finally we can, in the 11th Adhyaya, Bhagavan Shri Krishna shows his Vishwarupa Darshana, and finally from this Virata Swarupa we can see the Lord Sarvatra. So that is how this, the ongoing Adhyayas will happen. So Vibhuti description or Darshana was done by Shri Krishna in the 7th and the 9th Adhyaya, but in a very, very brief way. And in the 10th Adhyaya, it is definitely more detailed description. But though Lord himself says that my Vibhutis cannot be completely described, and that's why it is definitely not a complete description, because that is not possible by anyone. That is what Lord himself says. And in the 11th Adhyaya, we will see the Vishwarupa of Prabhu, and that is the practical way of showing his Virat Swarupa, his Vishwarupa Darshan. So far in the 10th Adhyaya, it is more of a theory of how God manifests in this world in different ways, but then in the 11th Adhyaya, it is a practical demonstration. Within Bhagavan Shri Krishna, Arjuna is going to see, and through Arjuna, of course, we all can endeavor and try to see that Virata Vishwarupa Darshana of Lord Krishna. So, the 10th Adhyaya, the first part, we saw the first sessions, the glories and the different vibhutis and the benefits, the loving devotion, bhakti yoga and its benefits. In the second session, Arjuna started his prayer. He said he accepted the divinity, the greatness of the Lord. He praises the Lord, does a stuti of the Lord, and then makes a small request that he wants to see Vistarena at detailed length. He wants to see all the vibhutis and the yoga shakti of the Lord. And then Lord starts describing his own vibhutis and his yoga shakti, how he manifests in this world in different forms. And today we are going to see that extension. And finally, in the last 4 shlokas, he is going to summarize his vibhuti and his yoga shakti. So the first shloka of the 10th Adhyaya starts with Lord making a pledge that I'll give you this jnana, and this is through this bhakti or the vibhuti description that he's doing it, and that he starts speaking without the question or without the asking, even asking from Arjuna, even without this question. He says, "Oh Mahabhavo Bhuya Eva, I'm going to listen again, I'm going to tell you." And this telling again and again, repetition itself is a great grace of the Lord, because we are unable to understand his presence everywhere, and that's why he does this grace, krupa, on all his devotees. He says, "Listen to my divine words. As you are becoming happy, I can see you that as the Gita Upadesh progresses, Arjuna becomes more and more happy. He was a Shokagrasta in the first Adhyaya because he was grasta, he was engulfed in moha, in delusion, and then Bhagavan Shri Krishna started his Upadesh in the second Adhyaya, and since then you can see that Arjuna is becoming more and more happy. And Vakshyami Hita Kamyaya, I'm going to tell you this because it is going to help you. Bhagavan, everything that Lord does is for the Hita of the mankind, for the Shreya, for the Kalyan, for the upliftment of the mankind, so that we all go back to Him. He's like a magnet who attracts all this jiva towards Him. It's like all the rivers are going to merge towards the ocean. So that is how He wants us all to go to Him and merge with Him. This devotion to the God or to the Lord, Bhagavad Bhakti, what is the goal? Ultimately, we must be able to see Lord everywhere, and that is the Abheda Darshan, Sarvatra Ishvara Darshan, and this can happen only when there is a Shuddhi, some kind of a Antakarana Shuddhi is already there because of karma or bhakti, karma yoga or bhakti yoga. But the climax of these Bhagavad Bhakti is to have feeling of oneness with the Lord without any Abheda. Because initially we want to see Abheda everywhere, but finally we have to understand that me as well as the Lord, we are all one and the same. Lord Himself says here, Aham Atma Gudakesha, I am your Atma. Bhagavan says Atma Paramatma is one. There is no difference between the Atma and Paramatma. He says, And this is only possible with this Atma Jnana or Brahma Jnana. And for this, to achieve this kind of Shuddhi, to go towards this kind of Jnana, to become eligible for this kind of Atma Jnana, and Bhagavad Bhakti is the best solution, because everyone is eligible for Bhakti. Karma Yoga is also one of the very good solution for nullifying our Raga, Dvesha, and developing the Antakarana Shuddhi, which can make us eligible, suitable, Adhikari for the Atma Jnana. So Vibhuti Yoga is in that standpoint also. It's a starting point which leads to purity, and we can start seeing oneness in all the many different forms, and that is how Lord pervades the entire universe. And this vision can help us dissolve all the different differences of the Bheda Buddhi in this world. And Ishavasya Upanishada, the first statement also within the Upanishada, the same concept is there. Ishavasya idam sarvam yatkinche jagatyam jagata, means everything is pervaded by this Lord. He is hidden on all these different Nama, Rupa. He is hidden, and that is the vision that we have to create. How we can see Him behind all these Nama, Rupa. He is not going to be seen in a form, Saguna, Sakar, Swarupa, because He is hidden in His Nirguna, Nirakar, Swarupa. And that's how we have to see Him, how we can invoke Him in all the different manifestations. That is the crux of our life. So we also need to understand who is Ishvara. Because when we want to do bhakti towards Ishvara, it is very important to understand who is Ishvara. And Ishvara, as has been described in our Shastras, is the Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karana of this world. Means that he is the undivided, the sole material as well as the instrumental cause of this world. And this is what Lord Krishna Himself says repeatedly in several shlokas, that everything, all this world comes from me. I am the Madhya, it is all because of me it is sustained, and I am the Anta. Everything again dissolves or resolves within me. So this is what He says repeatedly, and this is the Karya Karana Buddhi. It is the relationship that we need to understand very thoroughly, what is God and what is His relationship with this Jagata. Nimitta Karan means instrumental cause. Say for example, when a potter makes a pot from the clay, the potter becomes the instrumental cause, the Kumbhar. Kumbhar is the instrumental cause, and Mati is the material cause of the pot. So Upadana Karana is the material cause. When a pot is made, a Gado is made, then Mati, which is the material cause of the pot. So Kumbhar is the instrumental cause and Mati is the material cause when a pot is made. This is a very common example explaining in the Vedanta. All the philosophies in the world thus tell us that God is the instrumental cause of this creation, that everybody accepts that God creates this universe, He is the instrumental cause of this creation. But our Veda, our Vedic Sanatana Dharma has shown very conclusively, it has proved that God is not just the instrumental creation, cause of the creation, but He is also the Upadana Karana, He is also the material cause of the creation. In other words, it means that God created this universe, but He is also part of the creation. And both are abhinna, both are one and the same. There is no different God, that one God created this creation and there is another God who is part of this creation. Both are the same Lord. So the same Swarupa is there as part of the creation, and the same Swarupa is the one which has created this creation. So this is how we must understand Ishvara. Of course, we have to understand that Ishvara is a Saguna Sakar, Saguna Swarupa of the Brahma. Because Brahma, when it takes the help or Ashraya of Maya, Maya is Ashrita to Brahma. So Maya is under the control of Brahma, but when Brahma takes the Maya's help to create this Jagata, that is what is called as the Saguna Brahma, and that is the Ishvara. So this is the understanding of Ishvara in Vedanta, and this is very clearly described by an example. There is a shloka mantra which says that just like a spider who creates a web from his own saliva. So the web is created by him and he uses his own material, the saliva. So spider is the instrumental as well as the material cause of the web. And then finally, when the job is done, when the insects are already caught, he gets his food, he again dissolves the web into his own body and takes back the saliva, and takes the web is then dissolved. So this is the example given in Vedanta. So let's start with the Vibhuti description of the Lord as he continues, Ayudhanamaham vajram dhenunam kamadhuka prajanashchasmi kandarpaha sarpanam vasukihi. He says, in all the weapons I am Vajra. Now, Vajra is the weapon which was used by Indra to kill this demon called Vritrasura. So the story goes that there was a fierce battle between Deva and Danava, and the Devas were getting lost in the battle, so they all ran and they finally reached Dadiji Muni's ashrama, and they wanted to hide there. And then Dadiji Muni said that, what about your weapons? They will identify you because of your weapons. So Dadiji Muni, what he did was, his rishi, he swallowed all the weapons of the Devas so that they could not be seen by the demons, because once the demons will have all the weapons of the Devas, they will become victorious. So his bones were very, very strong. And when Vritrasur, who was one of the demons, who was also again waging a war against the Devas, Indra wanted to make one Vajra or a thunderbolt or a weapon which would kill Vritrasur. So here Lord himself, Vishnu Bhagavan himself, told him that you go to Dadiji Rishi and make a Vajra out of his bones. So he went to Dadiji Rishi and asked for his life. Dadiji Rishi was very, simply he just offered his life to him, and from this the Vajra was made. This is a story in the Bhagavatam. And Vritrasur was a great devotee. He did beautifully. He recited a praise before fighting with, because he knew that he was going to be killed. He invoked the Lord and made a beautiful stuti that is there in the Bhagavatam, and that is how Indra's Vajra, Bhagavan says, I am amongst all the weapons, I am Indra's Vajra. Dhenunam asmi kamadhuka. In all the cows I am Kamadhenu, he says. And Kamadhenu is the cow which gives milk at any time. Most of the cows only offer milk at 2 times in a day, but Kamadhenu is a cow where one can ask for milk n number of times, and it stands for a person who will fulfill all the desires. And the story goes that Kamadhenu was with Vashishta Muni, and once what happened was Vishwamitra, who was also a king and a Kshatriya, and he came to Vashishta Muni's ashrama with a very big army of his soldiers. So he asked if he could stay there in Vashishta Muni's ashrama. Vashishta Muni said, okay, you can stay, but then he was worried how he will feed all these big army. And then he invoked Kamadhenu. So Kamadhenu gave food, milk for everyone, and everybody could be satisfied. Vishwamitra was quite dazzled, and he asked Vashishta Muni how this was possible. And Vashishta Muni said, this is because of Kamadhenu. Vishwamitra thought, I must also have a cow like Kamadhenu. So he asked Vashishta Muni that, can I have the cow? Vashishta Muni instantly knew that this was not an appropriate request, but he could not turn down the request. So he was also perplexed what to do, and he invoked Kamadhenu cow herself, and Kamadhenu sent an army of all the different strange kinds of birds, and which attacked the Vishwamitra's army, and they left without the Kamadhenu cow. So that is the story in the Purana. Prajana cha asmi kandarpaha. In the progeny, in the progenitors, or in the where there is a creation happening, I am the desire, or I am the Kamadeva. He says, Sarpanam asmi Vasukihi. In all the snakes, I am the Vasuki. Vasuki snake, or the Sarpa, is one which during the Samudra Manthana was used as a rope to churn the Meru Parvata. So Bhagavan says that in all the snakes, I am Vasuki. Anantaschasmi naganam varuno yadasamaham pitrunam chasmi yamah sanyamatamaham. He says, Ananta asmi naganam. In all the Nagas, so Sarpa and Naga are different according to the Lord. In all the Nagas, I am the Shesh Naga, Ananta. Ananta is the Shesh Naga because Lord Vishnu rests on Shesh Naga in Vaikuntha, and this resting of Lord Vishnu is called the Ananta Shayana. That's why Shesh Naga is also called Ananta. And the avatars of Shesh Naga, whenever God incarnates on this world, Vishnu Bhagavan, along with this Shesh Naga also incarnates, and it said that along with Krishna, Shesh Naga was incarnated as Balaram, and along with Rama, he was incarnated as Lakshmana. So these are all the avatars of the Sheshnaga. So Bhagavan says, in all the Nagas, see me as Sheshnaga. Varuno Yadasam Aham. In all the water bodies, I am the Varuna Deva. So in our ancient philosophy, we worship the sun, all the waters, the Vayu, the wind, all these Mahabhutas and the natural celestial bodies are worshipped. So we always worship the water, and that's why before entering any rivers or oceans, there is a tradition to worship the water before we enter the water body. Pitrunam Adyama Asmi. He says, in all the forefathers, Pitru, in all the Pitrus, I am the Adyama. Adyama is also Pitru Deva, or the king of the Pitrus, or the Deva of the Adipati of the Pitrus. Yama Sanyama Tamaham. In all that one who rules or creates a kind of a balance in the society, I am Yama. Yama, as we all know, is the god of the death, and he is the one who keeps everybody in control, because we all know what kind of fear of death we have. Pralladashchasmi daityanam pala kalayatamaham mruganam cha mugendroham vainateyascha pakshinam. So Bhagavan says that in the demons, I am Prallada. Prallada was son of Hiranyakashipu, who was a demon, but he was a great devotee of the Lord. There is a beautiful story in Bhagavatam about Prallada, how he could see Lord everywhere. When he was being harassed by his father, he says, God is everywhere. Why, Father, why can't you see him everywhere? He says, and then Hiranyakashipu says, is he there in this pillar? And he says, yes, he is there. And Bhagavan was so graceful and so kind that he incarnated or pragatikaran hua Bhagavan ka from that pillar as a Nrsi Avatara. So that is the story, and that Bhagavan says, in all the demons see me as a Prallada, as a great devotee. Kalayatamaham. In all those who count, I am the time. Mruganam Mrugendra aham. In all the animals, I am lion, because lion is the king of all the animals, and Nrsi Avatara is one of the avatars of the Lord. Vainate cha pakshinam. In all the birds, I am Garuda. Vainate is a son of Vainate and is the vehicle of Vishnu Bhagavana, because Garuda is known for its very high or very fast speed, unlimited speed, and it is unstoppable. The gati of Garuda is like unstoppable, and that's why Garuda is always worshipped. Even in all the Vishnu temples, we will see Garuda in front of the Vishnu, how it is worshipped. All the vehicles of the Lord are also worshipped in our parampara. Say, for example, in the Shiva temple, there will be Nandi, and all these vehicles of the Lord are also worshipped. Bhavanatasmi Rama Shastrabhutamaham Jashanam Makaraschasmi Strotasamasmi Jahnavi. So here Lord says, in all that creates purity, Pavaka, Pavatam, or that makes everything Pavitra, I am the wind, I am Pavana, in all that makes pure, because we know that wind removes the odor and makes things pure, and that is also worshipped as the Vayu Deva. And that's why God also tells us that whenever you feel any wind, you can think of me, because I am in that, I am the wind in all that creates purity. In all the armed people, I am Rama. And here when he says Rama, he means son of Dashratha, because he always carries a bow and an arrow, but he is always full and complete with restraint. And we don't, it's not because there are three types of Rama, Parshurama and Balarama are also Rama. But here the Dashrath Nandana or son of Dashratha Rama is as invoked here, as in all armed people see me as Lord Rama. Jashanam Makara cha asmi. In reptiles, I am the crocodile, he says, because crocodile is something that we all fear about. But crocodile is very strong. It is a vehicle of the Ganges, the Narmada, and the idea of Lord is that we should not fear any animals. Everywhere we should try to see the Lord, invoke Lord everywhere. That is the idea of showing that in reptiles see me as a crocodile. Strotasam asmi Jahannavi. In all the flowing rivers, I am the Ganges, he says. And Ganges is also called Jahannavi because Ganga was a daughter of Jhanu Rishi. And Jhanu Rishi, once there is a story which says in the Purana that he swallowed the Ganga, and then He wanted to again flow Ganga back, but he says, I cannot do it through my mouth. And that's why he flowed Ganges from his ears. That is the story. That's why Ganga is also called Jhanavi. And in all the flowing rivers, Lord says that I am the Ganges. Sarganamadirantashcha madhyam chaivaham arjuna adhyatma vidya vidhyanam vada pravadatamaham. So he says, O Arjuna, Sarganam adi antam cha madhyam cha eva aham. I am the beginning, the present and the end of these universe. Sarganam. Sarganam is plural. So it's not just one universe, but it's talking about multiple universe, and multiple times there is a Utpatti, Pralaya, and this keeps on going on. And it says, I am all in this universe, all the Jada, Chetana, everything that you see, the living, the non-living, Chara, Sarak, Achara, everything. Sachara, Chara. He says, I am everything in this universe, and I am the Upadan as well as the Nimitta Karan of this universe. I create this universe, and I am also part of this creation. Though I am the creator, but you can see me everywhere. And it says, Adhyatma Vidhyanam. In all the knowledge, I am the divine knowledge. The Adhyatma Vidya, it's the Atma Vidya. It is the knowledge of the Atman, the Chaitanya, through which everything gets its Satta, Spurti, and it is the consciousness, and it can be felt as Aham, because it is Aparoksha, Sakshat, Aparoksha, Anubhuta. It means we can experience it directly for us. Vada Pravadatamaham. In all the people who discuss, those who keep on talking, I am the dialogue, I am the Vada, because God loves sameness, Samanta, Vada. There are 4 types of dialogues. One is Samvada, that is what we see here between Arjuna and Krishna in Gitaji. The Vada means that similar people debate, but it's a very healthy discussion, and the idea is to reach the truth without the ego coming in between. Whereas a third type of dialogue is called the Jalpa, where one wants to, using several arguments, logic, examples, etc., and trying to prove that no, I am true. And the fourth type of the dialogue is called Vitanda. Vitanda means to disprove the other's point, that you are wrong. You want to oppose everything that the other person says. This is called the Khandana Mata, and there are many scriptures also written on this Khandana Mata. Out of all these 4, Bhagavan says, I am the Vada, because he likes similar discussions, healthy discussions, where there is no ego. So he says, among all the different types of dialogues, I am Vada. Aksharanam karosmi dvandva samasikasya cha ahamevakshayah kalo thataham vishvato mukha. Aksharanam akaraha asmi. Bhagavan says in alphabets, I am the vowel A, akara. Because akara is the first letter of the alphabet. Not only it's the first letter of the alphabet, but it is present in all the other letters. So for example, you can see here Aksharanam akara. Ma is half, and then a mixes with it. It's called ma, the full ma. Similarly, ka, kha, ga, everywhere there is a half of ka, and there is a. So that akara is always a part of all the akshara, and that's how God pervades everything. That is what God is trying to tell us, that in amongst the alphabets, I am the vowel akara, a. Dvandva samasik asyacha. In collection of words, samas means there are few words which are together, and amongst this there are dual words. These are called dvandva samasa. And in dvandva samasa, there are the similar words which have similar prominence to each other. Neither one has a bigger prominence, neither the other has a bigger prominence. Those kind of words, Bhagavan says, I am this dual words in this dvandva samasa. He says something like, for example, Rama Krishna, Pani Pada, where there is equal contribution to the different words. Even in our dealings in our worldly, we should try to feel that, rather than going for a win-lose situation, we should go for a win-win situation with people, so that Bhagavan says that I am there, where there is an equal representation for everyone. Aham eva akshaya kala. He says, I am the eternal time. Now, we must understand why Bhagavan says kala is akshaya, that is eternal, that is, it is, time is one, he says. Because we see time as constantly changing, because we have already divided the time, the akhanda akshaya kala, into several different compartments, and this is what is all created by humans. We have created seconds, we have created minutes, hours, days, years, and we also look at events in our life. When I was a child, have this, then this, then this. When we go to see a movie, there is also a timeline that it develops gradually. A boy is first a child, then he becomes older, then he becomes old age, then his children come. So all these timelines are already there in events in everywhere. So we see the life in a canvas of the progression of events. But God has a different vision. He sees all the births of all the beings and all the karma, everything at one time. That's how we can see. This is how His vision is. And we may be surprised how we can see this, but a very simple example that I can give you is that when we watch a Netflix or Amazon Prime movie, the entire movie is in front of us. We can actually forward the movie and start wherever we like to. We can skip the movie, some part. So everything is in front of us. Similarly, for God, everything is in front of us. The entire timeline is in front of us. Which the Jiva is, for him, it is difficult to even understand what is the vision of the Lord. So Dhata Aham Vishwato Mukha. I am the nurturer, the Karma Phala Data. And Vishwato Mukha means I can see everything all around. It's not just that my vision is only on one thing, but he can see. Vishwato Mukha means all around he can see. And all the actions of all the beings he can see. And that attribute of the Lord is called Karmadhyaksha. He is the witness of all the karmas of all the beings at one time. And he is Karma Phala Data because he nurtures. He is Dhata. Dhata means nurturer because he nurtures everyone by giving the Karma Phala of the karma that we do. And that's why he is also called the Karma Phala Data. We think that what I do, I must get this Karma Phala. But actually that Karma Phala is determined by the Lord. He gives this Karma Phala based on our karma, the attitude that we have. And when to give that Karma Phala is also decided by the Lord. We can't expect that, no, I must get it immediately. It may be later on in this life or maybe in the next life we may get it. So this is how we must understand the Lord, what Lord says, what He's trying to say. Mrityu sarvaharaschaham udbhavascha bhavishyatam kirti shrivakcha narinam smrutir medha dhruti shama. So here Bhagavan says, Aham mrityu sarvahara cha. I am death, which takes away, sarvahara, which takes away, which steals everything, all in a split second. At one time, in a moment, in a fraction of a moment, everything is hara. He takes away everything. And Bhagavan says in this form also, mrityu of the body as we see, I am the death. He says, of course for us it is very difficult to understand God in this form, in the mrityu form. We will see how our Guruji explains what is death and how we can understand. Udbhava cha bhavishyatam. I am what is going to be Udbhava or created in the future. Udbhava, the second meaning is what can be improved, what can be uplifted, what can be, we can manage it better. So all this, in all this form, you can see me as a creation. We humans think that we create many things. However, I created my home, I created my office, I did this renovation. All these we feel that we are the creators. But actually, Bhagavan himself says that whatever is to be created, whatever is to be improved, you see my hand there. I am the one who does everything. Because when we say I created this house, we have to question whether I created the bricks, the cement, the color, the plaster, everything. Did I create anything out of this? No, everything has been created by the Lord. Everything has been given to us. We are just trying to put things together. That is what we do. And we cannot claim to be the rightful owners of that or the creators of those things. So that is the understanding. Kirti. Kirti means the fame. But this fame, Kirti, is because of the dharma marga or the dharma karma. So if we do a right karma and by this righteousness in life, by following the shastras, if we gain the fame, that is called Kirti. And Bhagavan says, Kirti, Shri, I am there as all this. Shri is the wealth and all the possessions and the glory that wealth can bring. Bhagavan says, you see me, if you become more wealthy, you have more comforts, you have more possessions, more glory, you are more privileged. Please see my hand there because I am there as all this Kirti and Shri. He says, Vak, I am the speech Bhagavan says, and our Shastras tell us what kind of speech we must have. Satyata, Priyata and Hitkari. It must be Satya, Priya and Hitkari. And speech or our words are the best gift of the Lord. If we can use them properly, then really it can create wonders and happiness for us and all around us also. So this is what Bhagavan says, I am the speech. Now death or mrityu. When Bhagavan says I am the death, I am the mrityu, it's very difficult for us to understand, but we need to understand that death is the only inevitable reality of life. There is no other reality which is as inevitable as death is. And that's why if it's something which is so inevitable, it makes common sense that we should learn to accept it gracefully. However, though it is very difficult to accept it gracefully because the fear of the death is so much that we generally avoid even discussing about the death in our day-to-day discussions with our friends, family and other things. And when we can accept it gracefully, we have to live our life in such a way that we can accept it gracefully whenever that stage comes in our life. And not only our own life, but for our near and dear ones also. Yogis, the Yoga Purusha or the yogis who have attained the Yoga Shakti, they could actually decide the time of their death. They had the Ichha Mrityu because they could take all these Prana Shakti into the Murdhanya and they could hold it and then merge with the universal consciousness. They could transcend their life force and merge with the universal consciousness. But those kind of yogis, their understanding was that death is of the body. It is just like my old body, it's become my old clothes, they become worn out, they become degraded. It's better to take out the old clothes and wear the new clothes, get a new body, and Ishvara is going to give us the best new body, what I deserve. This is the kind of understanding that they have, and this is, for them, it is quite a trivial incident. In the eyes of the God also, death is not a very big incident. Even in the eyes of us, jivas, humans, for us also death is not a very big incident. Trivial incident in the sense when we read about it every day in newspapers that somewhere there was a natural disaster and so many people died, somewhere there was a man-made disaster, there was a shooting or some terrorist event or bomb blast and so many people died, terrorist activity. We generally, for a very short moment, we feel it and then we suddenly go to the next news, we forget about it. So it shows that for us also death is a very, very trivial event. When we read so many tributes in the newspaper, we don't feel it so much unless that person is known to us, unless that person forms a part of our family, close family, where we have a mamatva or a attachment to. Then only death becomes a very, very big event for us. And that itself shows that death itself is not a very big event, but our mamatva is a very big event rather than the death. So death, in the Lord's view, is necessary for sustenance of the world because Utpatti, Pralaya, Janma, Marana, Mrityu, Janma, Mrityu, all are part of the two sides of the same coin, and they are completely inseparable sides of the same coin which cannot be negated. And that's why they are together. On a universal basis, yes, the death, but on a universal basis, death itself means pralaya kala, whereas the entire samashti, the entire universe undergoes pralaya and dissolves or resolutes, and everything merges into God. That is the death of the universe. We generally mean death of the person, but the universe also undergoes a death. According to our Shastra, there is a pralaya also, and that does not mean that we don't take care of ourselves. We should take care of ourselves. We should stay healthy. We should try and take care of our body as much as we can. Remain healthy. Try to delay or death as much as we can or as much as we have in our hands. And at the same time, we should not fear inappropriately. In the current times, for the last more than 1 year, the coronavirus has created such a big havoc in the world over, and there is so much of fear of death happening. And this fear is something that we have to rationalize, we have to understand, and we have to try and put it very appropriately in our life so that it does not assume proportions which are out of the context and does not make our life miserable. So this is the understanding. Kirti Shri Vakcha Narinam Spruti Mreda Druti Shama. So these are all the attributes that Bhagavan says Spruti Shakti. Spruti Shakti is our memory power, that we can hold whatever we learn, we understand, we can hold in our memory. That is our Spruti Shakti. And Medha Shakti. Medha Shakti is also a little bit similar to memory Shakti, but it is the power to retain that knowledge. Not only the power to retain that knowledge, but to make it use in our life whenever that appropriate stage or situation arises. And Medha Shakti also means to understand the subtle meaning of the words. So that is the Medha Shakti. It's more like related to the intelligence part, or the intuition part, or the intelligence part, the intellect part, rather than just the pure memory part. And this is how we can become very effective. And this becomes more effective, the Medha Shakti, when it's combined with Shraddha or faith. So when Medha and Shraddha combined, it can actually make a lot of difference in our assimilation of this knowledge in our life. And Bhagavan says that in all this Spruti, if somebody has a very good memory, you think that this is the memory, is my gift. If somebody has a great Medha Shakti, then also Bhagavan says, I am there as this Medha Shakti. Druti. Druti is a Shakti, is a power of our, where we have a lot of patience, we have a lot of forbearance, Sahanshilta, Dhiraj and courage. So this kind of a Shakti that we have, so that even in the most of the difficult situations, we can have this understanding that, okay, this is transient, this will pass, let me try my best, let me do my best here, let me come over this situation. So this kind of a Dhruti Shakti is, Bhagavan says, that is through me, I am that Shakti. Shama, forgiveness, the power of our, to forgive others for their mistakes, even to forgive others who give me pain, make my life miserable, and who actually is my enemy, kind of. So even to forgive them, and that forgiveness is with a kind of understanding that it does not create a lot of pressure inside me. It is like sahaj, it is like, subtle, and that kind of forgiveness, Bhagavan says, it is also because of me. Narinam, all these qualities, Smruti, Medha, Dhruti, Kshama, all these Shaktis, all these qualities, all this power, these energies are much more manifested in women. And all these qualities are also, in the feminine gender. And that's why Bhagavan says Narinam, and that itself shows that in all these Nari Shakti, we should also see the Lord, invoke the Lord, giving respect to women. It should become part of our, is a part of our culture for generations. In the next shloka, Bhagavan says, Bruhat Sam Tatha Samnam Gayatri Chandasamaham Masa Nam Margashirshoham Rutunam Kusumakaraha. So he says, Bruhat Sam Tatha Samnam. I am Bruhat Sam in Samaveda. So Bruhat Sam are also type of mantras which can be sung as prayers or stuti. And Bhagavan earlier said, I am Samaveda in all the Vedas. Now he is saying, I am Bruhat Sam in Samaveda. Gayatri Chandasam Aham. In all the meter, in all the Chanda, I am the Gayatri meter. So Gayatri meter is a meter where there are about 24 letters, different mantras or different shlokas have different meter. Gita Ji is in a Anushtup Chandaha because there are 32 letters in each mantra or each shloka. There are 4 padas. In the first line there are 2 pada. Bruhat Sam Tatha Samnam, that is 1 pada. And Gayatri Chandasamaham, that is another pada. And the 3rd pada is Masanam Margashirshoham. And the 4th pada is a Rutunam Kusumakaraha. So these are the 4 pada, and each pada has 8 letters. So the total number of letters in every shloka, almost all shlokas of most of the shlokas of Gita Ji are 32 in each shloka. So this is the Anushtup Chanda which the Gita Ji follows. Bhagavan says, I am the Gayatri meter in all the Chanda. Masanam Margashirsha Aham. In months, I am the Makshar, the Margashirsha Mahina, that is the Makshar month. And in the ancient times, in the Indian calendar, Makshar was the first month. It is considered to be a very pious month to do all the yagnas, the puja, part and parayana, and also for donations. And it is a month where the climate is also very temperate. Kind of a climate, neither very hot nor very cold. Rutunam Kusumakaraha. In all the Rutus, he says, in seasons, I am the spring, where all the flowers come up, they spring up, and there are new flowers coming up, maturing. So that is the beautiful Rutu, the spring season. And Bhagavan says, in all the seasons, you see me as a spring season. The Gayatri Mantra, as you all know, Om Bhurrbhuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhyo Yonah Prachodayat. This comes in the Gayatri Mantra. And Gayatri Mantra is a prayer to the Sun Lord and Gayatri Devi. And during the Yagnopavita Diksha, it is given to the Brahmana and it becomes a Dvija. And it's a prayer to attain knowledge and to achieve salvation, which is considered to be the goal of our life. And along with this mantra, the child is also asked to do japa of this mantra every day. And this teaches selfless action from childhood. He doesn't have to ask the question, why do I have to do japa? He has to do it for his own attaining his own selflessness and his upliftment. Bharga means to destroy all the impurities, and through this karma yoga we can go towards moksha. Varenyam means that God is the only one who is fit to choose. Varana karne yogya sirf Bhagwan hai. And dhyo yonah prachodayat means that, oh Lord, you inspire my intellect, my dhyo prachodayat, that I surrender to you so that I remain alert, aware, and I choose the right path. Give me that kind of intelligence, that discriminative intelligence, that I can help me to choose the best path for me. So that is a kind of invocation of the Lord, Sun Lord and the Gayatri Devi to get the right kind of a buddhi and inspire that intellect. Dyutam chalayatam asmi tejas tejasvinamaham jayosmi vyavasayosmi sattvam sattvavatamaham. So Bhagavan here says, Dyutam chalayatam asmi. In gamblers, I am the game of dice. And somebody may be quite surprised why Bhagavan says, I am one of the gamblers and I am the game of dice in this gamblers. And here gambling is, of course, it is not to be appreciated. Gambling is not a good thing, but the game of dice, as I mentioned in Mahabharata, Dyuta, where the Pandavas and the Kauravas, they enter into this game of dice. And this is one kind of gambling which is done with the knowledge of the opposite party. The opposite party is not in the dark when one does this plays this game of dice. And here Bhagavan is trying to tell us that even in the gamblers you should try to see the sameness. The idea of the Lord, the Tatparya, is that even in the sinful person or in a saint, we should see the Lord everywhere as the same Lord everywhere. And that is the vision that He wants us to create. Tejasvinamaham. He says, in all the brilliant people, I am their brilliance. So it's a very beautiful thing. Whenever we see any brilliance, we should think of the Lord. Whenever we think that we have got this brilliant idea, we should also feel that this is because of the Lord. We should not have any pride for our own brilliance, or we should not envy others' brilliance, because if we see the Lord's hand in the brilliance of others, in very successful people, in the top in their fields, when we see them, they are all very humble, they are all very devoted to the Lord. We should see the divinity in them when we see them, when we interact with them, when we read about them. And this is the Bhagavad Buddhi that we have, and this is what our Vibhuti Darshan will help us to develop this kind of a Bhagavad Buddhi. Jaya Asmi Vyavasayaha. In all the decisions that I take of the intellectuals, I am the success, I am the Jaya. Because to attain victory or Jaya or success, to become successful, you need to take many important decisions in the life at different points. And this decisive power determines the success. And Bhagavan says, I am this decisive power, Vyavasayaha, Jaya Asmi. In all this Jaya, you see me as the decisive power that is done in all the successful people. I am this decisive power. He says, Sattvam Sattvavatam Maham. In all the Sattvic people, in all the good people who are saintly, or who are good people, who are on the good path, who are Sattvic, they are Shanta, they are Dharmic, they are religious minded, they're doing good to others, they are philanthropists, and all these good people who live a good Sattvic life, which is devoted, which is related to the Lord in some or the other way. He says, I am the Sattva. So even these Sattvic people also have a lot of sometimes they have a lot of pride or ego of their own, that I'm doing so many good things, I'm doing so much donations, I'm helping others, I'm running schools, institutions, I'm running this trust, and they have this false sense of the ego that it's all I am doing it. Bhagavan says here that I am that sattva with whose grace or with whom all these things are done. So we should not have the pride for our own goodness also. That is, we should feel His grace everywhere, that because of His grace I'm just an instrument, I'm just just like He's trying to tell us that we are an instrument in the hands of the Lord. He's already determined everything, and already everything has been done. We are just part of that, the game plan through which we are, working as kind of puppets in the hand of the Lord. So that is what we should feel, rather than having a kind of an inflated ego that we are the doers, we have been doing all this, and it is all our power, our Shakti that we are doing it. It's all the Shakti, all the power comes from the Lord for whatever we do, for whatever happens to through what we do also. So this is the kind of understanding that we need to create. Rushinam Vasudevosmi Pandavanam Dhananjaya Muninam Napyaham Vyasaha Kavinam Ushana Kavihi. So it says, in the Vrishnikul, you see me as Vasudeva. Bhagavan himself is telling Krishna that in Vrishni I am the Vasudeva, I am Krishna, because he's telling from his Ishwar Bhava, that in Vrishi see me as Vasudeva. And then he says, amongst all the Pandavas, you see me as Dhananjaya. Don't see me as any different Dhananjaya. See me as Dhananjaya. He says, see me as Arjuna. He's trying to tell Arjuna that, Atma Swarupa, you and me are not different. We are both the same. Vasudeva is the Vrishni avatar. You see me there. But in Pandavas, you see me as Arjuna. Muninam apiyaham Vyasaha. In Munis, you see me as Veda Vyasa. Veda Vyasa is also considered as an incarnation of the Lord. Vyasa itself means that very Vistrut, very, very expanse, very vast. His buddhi, his intellect, his manana, his chintana was very vast, because he has written so many scriptures. He has written Mahabharata, even Bhagavad Gita, which is within the Mahabharata, has been written by Ved Vyasa. Ved Vyasa is a person who actually compartmentalized Gita into several different adhyayas also, and he has a very Vistrut, vast contemplation. He could see, he had a vision which a normal human being can never have, and he is the most brilliant person, and that's why Bhagavan says, in Munis you see me as Ved Vyasa. And in Kavinam Ushana Kavi, in the poets, in the Kavis, poets are basically, Kavi means they are drashtas, they are visionaries people. I am Shukracharya. Ushana Kavi is Shukracharya, who is the guru of all the demons, Daitya. The guru hai. When Bhagwan became the Vamana Avtara and went to Bali to ask for his 3 steps, Shukracharya was the guru of Bali, and he warned Bali that Bhagwan is asking for the 3rd step, and there is where he cautioned Bali also at that time. That is a story which comes in the Bhagavatam. Next shloka. Dando damayatam nitirasmi jigishatam Maunam chaivasmi guhyanam jnanam jnanavatamaham. So Bhagavan says, in all the damayatam asmi, see me as danda. In all the suppressors, in all the people who keep everything in the proper place, or they kind of create, say for example, government has to create the law and order situation, and so they also have penalty for the people who don't believe this law and order. And Bhagavan says, I am the danda, I am the punishment. You see me as this punishment, because here, because of this fear of the punishment, that people walk on the right path, they don't do any criminal activity or adharmic activities. Niti asmi jigishata, and I am the strategy in the victorious. He says, in all the people see me as the niti, the strategy, because to become successful, victorious, a lot of strategic planning goes behind. It could be the strategic planning of the business, it could be strategic planning of a country in terms of foreign policy, defense planning, war strategy, it could be economic planning, the planning for the growth of the country. All this requires a lot of strategizing. And for the strategy making, the priorities have to be clearly defined, and this has to be done before the planning comes, and after the thorough planning, then the execution of the plan comes, which makes the person or the country or the people victorious. And Bhagavan says, I am the strategy In all these victorious persons or countries, I am the strategy, I am the niti, asmi jigishata. Maunam eva asmi guhyana. He says, I am in all the secrets, I am the silence, because we all have a tendency to speak out or blurt out a lot of things, and that's why it's better to remain aware before we speak, whether it is necessary, what is necessary, only that much we should speak. And this, Bhagavan says, in this silence form, I am there in all the secrets. Maunam is where you can see me as the Mauna. So that is also kind of a Shakti which will help us to remain silent and to avoid secrets being leaked out. Gnanam gnanavatam aham. He says, in the wise, I am the knowledge. You see me as this, whether it is a vritti gnana, a worldly knowledge, or it is a atma gnana or a brahma gnana, spiritual knowledge. You see me as the knowledge. We should not have any pride of our own knowledge. Whatever we know in our field or whatever we are going through or acquiring, we should all think that all this gnana is the Lord's own gnana. We are just part of it. It's His grace that we are able to achieve this, understand this, and that should be our thinking. Yachapi sarva bhutanam bijam tadaham arjuna na tadasti vinayastyan maya bhutam characharam. So now Lord is going towards the summarizing all His vibhutis, and He says here, O Arjuna, in all the sarva bhutanam, in all the beings, you see me as a seed, bijam, aham Arjuna. You see me that I am the seed in all the bhutas. Means, just like a seed is important before the tree is born, and the seed is the unmanifest part, and the tree is the manifest part of the creation. Similarly, God is like a seed, is the unmanifest part from which all this tree-like world, the entire universe, the world has created. And Bhagavan says that you must see me as a seed of this seen world. I am the unmanifest seed in this world. And He says, there is nothing in this world, living or non-living, chara achara, nothing in this world which is separate from me. That is all, we are both inseparable, this seed and the manifest world, me, karana, and the world which is the karya. All these are completely inseparable. There is no difference. You see me, this, and whenever you see any karya, anything in this world, any manifestation, you try and see, invoke the seed, the karana, the God, Lord must be invoked. This is what He says. He says all that we see is from and it is the Lord itself. So whatever we see in this world is nothing but the Lord. All achara, achara, jagata is not separate from me. Whenever you see anything in this world, Lord says you should think of me. Nantosti mama divyanam vibhutinam parantapa esha tuddeshatah prokto vibhutir vistaro maya. O Parantapa, O great warrior, he describes Arjuna. Mama divyanam vibhutinam na anta asti. He says there is no end to my divine manifestations, Arjuna. If you go on like this, I can keep describing for years together and it will not be over, because there is no end to my divine manifestations, because He manifests everywhere in this world, He says. And of course, this reminds Arjuna that we are in the battlefield, the battle is about to start, and if I keep describing my vibhutis, then nothing will end and we'll keep on discussing this. And whatever I have told you so far is only one small part of the vibhutis, and it is not just possible to describe my complete vibhuti completely, He says, and there is no way I can describe it completely, because Bhagavan is end. There is no end. He is limitless. Manifestations of Bhagavan are limitless. Hari is Ananta, and there is no par. Nobody can go beyond Him. Nobody can see Him in complete and describe Him completely, because God Himself has said that He is the Adi of all the Deva and Rishis. So nobody can completely understand His Tatvik Swarupa, and His manifestations are limitless. Yathya vibhuti mat sattvam Srimad Urjitam eva va Tatta Devava Gachatvam Mama Tejonsha Sambhavam. Bhagavan says, okay, so in summary he says, wherever you see any glory, yadya vibhuti vat sattvam, whenever you see any glory that is sattva, whenever you see Shrimat, whenever you see any prosperity or any wealth, he says, wherever you see any Urjita, Evava, or you see any energy, any Urja, any enthusiasm, people working with a great passion, wherever you see anything of these, any manifestation, any glory, any power, any wealth, any prosperity, any energy, there and there, tattateva, there and there you understand, avagachatvam, you understand, Arjuna, that this originates from small part, ansha of my powers, my teja, my yoga shakti, my energy. He says, mama teja ansha sambhavam. This is just one small part, ek ansha मेरा है जिसका पावर तेज है जिससे all this is manifested, he says. And again from the last shloka he concludes, अथवा बहुनैतेन किम ज्ञातेन तवार्जुन विष्टभ्याहमिदं कृत्स्नम् एकांशेन स्थितो जगत. He says, अथवा Arjuna, or O Arjuna, bahuna etena kim jnatena tava. He says, knowing more than this, what benefit will you have, Arjuna? If I keep talking about my vibhutis, what are you going to gain more? Because you are not going to gain more. And he summarizes everything, the entire adhyaya, and says, understand that the summary of whatever I have described is aham idam kritsnam jagata eka anshena vishtabhya stitaha. He describes and summarizes, says, I behold stitaha, this entire universe, idam kritsnam jagata, this entire universe, by one small part, idam sarvam aham stitaha, he says, I hold this entire universe by one very small part, one ansha of my complete divine self, Savavapak, Nirguna Swarupa. He is trying to explain to Arjuna that whatever you see here, whatever vibhutis you have seen, and whatever I have said here so far, that wherever there is energy, wherever there is glory, wherever there are any manifestations, wherever there is wealth, prosperity, and all the places that is described, he says, just understand that the entire universe that you see is just one small part of my creation. So this Saguna Sakara Swarupa of the universe is the creation of the Lord, and that Lord is also Saguna, because when Bhagavan becomes Ashrita, Bhagavan becomes one with Maya, he attains this Saguna Swarupa of the Ishvara. And with this is also a very small part of my complete expanse, my Nirguna Nirakar Swarupa, which is still very, very vast, which is something that nobody can understand. And that is how Lord summarizes this Vibhuti Yoga and tries to tell Arjuna, and through Arjuna to all of us, that whatever you see in this world, try to see me, have that kind of a understanding, bhava. At least if you can't see that, at least have that bhava, that wherever you see any goodness, any badness, anything, any energy is good or bad or whatever, any people, any beauty, any splendor, any greatness, any beautiful view, any beautiful brilliant people, any successful people, victorious people, any passionate people, anything that you see, you try to see my energy behind that, rather than envying about that or trying to have the ego or the pride for your own kind of a brilliance or any of your victories or any of your possessions. So with this, he comes to the end of the Vibhuti Darshana, and we are sure, all perplexed how we can see Lord everywhere. How is it possible? Arjuna must also have had the same feeling at this point, that how is it possible to see this Lord everywhere in this world? And Bhagavan himself, with his grace, with his krupa, makes Arjun visualize his Vishwarupa in the 11th Adhyaya, makes him see this in practical, in reality, and shows him how the entire world can be seen in, entire universe, entire Brahmanda can be seen in one place, in Krishna, and he shows his Ishwaratva in a practical way in the 11th Adhyaya, which is a very, very beautiful Adhyaya, Vishwarupa Darshana, which will start after the summary of this 10th Adhyaya. With this, we end the 10th Adhyaya. Om Tat Sata इति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे विभूतियोगो नाम दशमोऽध्यायः। सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज, अहं त्वा सर्वपापेभ्यो मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः। ॐ गुरुः ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः, गुरुः साक्षात् परः ब्रह्म, तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।